Major League Baseball is ready for expansion. We've got a stadium under construction. We've got a team sale hopefully happening by the end of September and bringing a new stadium addition to Major League Baseball. Now is the time to get serious. Now is the time for the serious talk, and we have all kinds of updates on MLB expansion. Let's go. First off, we have to update in terms of the current 30 Major League teams. The Athletics of Sacramento are moving to Las Vegas, and everybody's saying, well, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, the stadium is under construction. All that clear out work is done. Beginning in June, construction broke ground in Las Vegas, so we can feel very confident the Athletics are going to make their way to Las Vegas for their final destination. Now, of course, there's still a lot of work to be done there. It probably means at least 2 more years in Sacramento, so we're probably talking 2028 before we see the team actually move to Las Vegas, and even that may be a bit of a tough timeline to hit, but we can guarantee now that they are going to make their way to Las Vegas. As for the Tampa Bay Rays, there was a lot going on, but it looks like the Rays are going to be sold for $1.7 billion to a group out of Tampa Bay. And that sale is expected to take place hopefully by the end of September this year. And this ownership group needs to get a stadium deal done. And at all intents and purposes, it sounds like they want to get the deal done in the city of Tampa Bay, which makes a lot more sense for the franchise because it allows them to draw from a bigger area. People from places like Orlando were not going to make the trip all the way down to St. Petersburg, but they may make it a little more frequently to Tampa Bay. This is an ideal location for the team to be set up properly in the city of Tampa Bay and is a great fit for Major League Baseball and hopefully works out for the Rays. What does that mean for the next couple of years? Well, just like before, it's expected to move back into the Tropicana Field for the next couple of years. Ideally, we can get break ground on a stadium deal, hopefully to get them into a stadium, probably more likely 2029. If depending on the rules and regulations and however long this process is going to take, maybe it's 2030, but it all sounds good to Major League Baseball. You've got the Rays and you've got the A's looking to settle into long-term homes, which makes it the perfect time to talk expansion. And of course, once again, Rob Manfred has reiterated he wants to have expansion set up by the end of his term, which is in 2029, looking to add 2 teams. Now, this would probably come with some realignment as well, and we've talked about this in previous videos. But the interesting thing that Rob Manfred said this time is he is starting to focus on some locations, and not specific cities, but time zones. Manfred has come out stating they need 1 team in the Eastern time zone and 1 team in the Mountain time zone or Western time zone. So this starts to narrow down the possible locations and really affects one city that everybody has been talking about for so long, and that's Nashville, Tennessee. The fact is, Nashville is in the Central time zone as well as 8 other teams across Major League Baseball. So the Central time zone is a little bit less appealing, as Manfred has stated. And the big thing that people need to realize with Nashville, there is no person set up as the billion-dollar premier owner. Carolina has this opportunity. Portland, Utah. The big thing in Nashville, there is not that same buzz to some of these other cities because there's no one footing the bill. And given the sale of $1.7 billion for the Rays, you got to expect somewhere in the area of a $2 billion expansion fee. There's lots of great people behind the scenes setting up this bid for Nashville, but unless you've got someone writing the check, it is going to be a far less appealing city. And this may be why Rob Manfred is hinting that this Central time zone is not as appealing. So where does that leave us in terms of Eastern time zone? Well, back a few years ago, Manfred mentioned locations, places like Las Vegas, which we know is going to be off the list, Montreal, which just doesn't seem possible at this time, kind of like Nashville. The one that stands out is, in fact, the Charlotte location. Now, there's a lot of people who have talked about Raleigh as well. Somewhere in the Carolinas would make a lot of sense for an Eastern time zone team. And we know that Carolina Hurricanes owner in the National Hockey League, Tom Dundon, is looking at being the principal owner of a team. and making a bid, and that would make a lot of sense and probably sets up very, very well in terms of expansion for Major League Baseball. Not a lot of news coming out of that area since this time, but it is one of the high-end cities and locations that MLB is certainly looking at. Out west is where things are really, really interesting. There's a group starting to form in Austin, Texas, and putting a bid in there. However, again, they do not have a principal owner in place like the other two big locations. And I almost wish that Major League Baseball would just go with these two locations as a whole and forget the Eastern time zone. But we do need to spread things out a little bit. And those two, of course, are Portland, Oregon, and Salt Lake City, Utah. In terms of Portland, Mayor Keith Wilson is very optimistic about the city's chances. He believes it's down to them and one other city, which we fully believe to be Salt Lake City. Portland Diamond Project CEO Craig Cheek says the city is ready to break ground as early as 2027 on a new 32,000-seat waterfront stadium. That is big, big news. If they were to get the go-ahead, they could get this thing going now. 2027 break ground. We could have a new expansion team by 2030 ready to go if Major League Baseball wants to do this, and Portland certainly seems ready and eager to go. The same can be said about Salt Lake City. Senator Lincoln Fillmore, who's highly involved in this baseball project, feels confident in Salt Lake City getting a team. He expects the new CBA in 2026 and expansion announcements in 2028. There's already a $3.5 billion investment from owner Larry H. Miller Company lined up to go in Salt Lake City. So because of that, you have to figure they're ready to go and break ground potentially as early as 2027 because there is a site location in Salt Lake City as well. These two cities are easily the most ready and willing to go right now. They just need that go-ahead from Major League Baseball. And it's interesting they mentioned the 2026 CBA because this could be a big part of the expansion process as well. Maybe setting some fees up and all those types of things along the way and them making the process reasonable and gives the MLBPA a little something to look at in terms of revenue and keeping players involved. Adding more teams adds more players to the PA, more minor league systems, how that could work out as well. The other city in the East to keep in mind becomes a much bigger option now because of the Tampa Bay Rays sale, and that's the city of Orlando, or the Orlando Dreamers Project, although I highly doubt that that would become the team name. Orlando really, really wanted to have the Rays relocate there. This sale looks like it's not going to happen now, so Orlando becomes a place for expansion. Now, the issue with the Rays and the Marlins and the lack of attendance in the state of Florida kind of makes Orlando a place that maybe you don't really want to go for expansion, but the group putting the work in there seems to have a very good plan in place. Orlando's got Dr. Rick Workman as the lead investor in an expansion bid. So unlike Nashville, they have a principal owner with a lot of money involved. They also have a proposed $1 billion stadium, which will be built by the Aquatic Water Park. The group has already raised $1.5 billion in funds for a team. And that is a huge, huge news. We're talking at a couple of years, they could easily get that $2 billion expansion fee and have the stadium set up with the principal owner. So Orlando, in my mind, really moves up ahead of Nashville. I know there's going to be concerns about adding another team to the state of Florida with those attendance issues, but Orlando really seems a very solid plan in place. And keep in mind, you put a stadium near Disney, you create a lot of connections there, travel routes, bus routes, everything to go along with it, even ticket packages, and Orlando seems to be a very, very good fit as well. So at this time, if we're talking Eastern time zone, you have to look at the Charlotte area and Orlando as the front runners. And out west at easily is Portland and Salt Lake City. This is going to be a very, very difficult decision for Major League Baseball once it comes down to make it. But I really like the timeline setting up here. The CBA in 2026 set everything up in terms of fees and expansion announcements by 2028, maybe even breaking ground with teams starting play in 2030 or 2031. There's your setup for Major League Baseball expansion. Let me know in the comment section down below where you think Major League Baseball should go to and where in the future maybe we're getting to with Major League Baseball. Maybe 2036, 2037, we're talking about 36 teams rather than 32. As always, I greatly appreciate all your guys' support on these videos. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel as we make the push for 1,000 subscribers right here on 3 Up, 3 Down. Until next time, take care, everyone.